This is Nightline.
Tonight, high-stakes summit. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin face-to-face on American soil.
President Putin, will you agree to a ceasefire?
To discuss a path to the end of Russia's war with Ukraine.
There's no deal until there's a deal.
We break it all down. Plus, Queen of the Catwalk, Heidi Klum.
As you know, in fashion, one day you're in, the next day you're out.
One of the world's most famous supermodels and former Victoria's Secret angel is back in the workroom.
Welcome home, Mama.
Making a return to Project Runway after a 4-season hiatus.
It is my TV baby. 21 seasons later, here we still are. It's quite incredible.
What she says about those mother-daughter lingerie ads.
And you got a little bit of backlash for that, doing that with your daughter.
And remembering the beloved General Hospital actor whose character on the popular series spanned 45 years.
Because I'm partly responsible for her being here. Because she's a stranger in a strange land, and I, of all people, ought to know what that feels like.
From ABC News headquarters in New York, this is Nightline.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Tonight, President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin meeting on American soil for a high-stakes summit. Well, the future of the war with Ukraine hangs in the balance. ABC Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce was in the room and joins us now from Anchorage.
Well, Byron, the stakes for this meeting were incredibly high, but tonight President Trump and Russian President Putin are now heading back home, with the world having watched this very closely and still wondering what came of this meeting today, what progress was made, and still asking that big question, when is this war going to end? After sitting together for over 3 hours, the leaders appearing here before cameras and before the press extremely vague and not answering any questions. Vladimir Putin alluded to an agreement. President Trump said they made progress, but wouldn't explain what exactly that progress was. Instead, he said there's no deal until there's a deal, Trump adding that we didn't get there, but we have a very good chance of getting there. President Trump came into this meeting making it very clear he wanted a ceasefire and warning that there would be severe economic consequences if that was not achieved. But tonight, in their brief remarks here, neither President Trump nor Vladimir Putin even mentioned the word ceasefire. They also didn't mention any future possibility of a meeting with Volodymyr Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, which is something that President Trump was also hoping would come of all this. Byron.
Thank you, Mary, from Anchorage. The world watching as the two leaders came together, the American president known for the art of the deal, hoping to broker peace in Ukraine, facing off with the Russian president, trained in the world of strategy and spycraft. After more than 2 hours and a less than 10-minute press conference, the end of a high-stakes meeting came to a close. President Donald Trump arrived in Alaska wanting to end the war between Russia and Ukraine.
There were many, many points that we agreed on, most of them, I would say, a couple of big ones that we haven't quite gotten there, but we've made some headway. So there's no deal until there's a deal.
While Trump says he might be one step closer, he left without that promise.
I've always had a fantastic relationship with President Putin, with Vladimir. We had many tough meetings, good meetings.
For the last 3 years, Putin has largely been isolated from the West since he invaded Ukraine. But today, Trump rolling out the red carpet for the Russian president, greeting him warmly, posing for a photo op together, then riding to their meeting in the Beast, the U.S. president's official car, all on American soil. At the last minute, the bilateral meeting expanding to a 3-on-3, Trump joined by Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
Key to all of this, key to everything that happened today, is people have to remember it was Vladimir Putin, Russia, that invaded Ukraine.
For his part, Putin saying progress was made, but warning European allies not to interfere.
We expect that Kiev and European capitals will perceive that constructively and that they won't throw a wrench in the works. They will not make any attempts to use some backroom dealings to conduct provocations to torpedo the nascent progress.
I think the biggest fear for European allies and the rest of the world, our allies, is that the Russians, if they take over Ukraine, then what is next? how does that spread? This doesn't just affect Ukrainians. This has the potential of affecting the entire continent and the entire world.
Vladimir Putin is an old-style Soviet leader. This is somebody who came up through the KGB, and he wants to see the greatness of Russia. And one of the ways to do that is to expand its territory. And that's what the invasion of Ukraine has been all about.
Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky not invited to the discussion today. Before the meeting, Zelensky saying in part, "On the day of the negotiations, they also kill people," he added, and that says a lot.
You're gambling with the lives of millions.
Trump's relationship with Zelensky has historically been tense.
You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country, that's back to you, far more than a lot of people said they should have.
The bitter battle between Russia and Ukraine began in February 2022, when Russian troops invaded Ukraine, the largest in Europe since the end of World War II. More than 60,000 Ukrainian soldiers and over 13,000 Ukrainian civilians have been killed since the start of the war, and more than an estimated 200,000 Russian soldiers have died in the fighting.
I have seen up close over these years is this grinding war, death every day, destruction, especially there in the east.
Entire Ukrainian city blocks destroyed, millions becoming refugees, forced to flee. Russia had already seized Ukraine's Crimean Peninsula in 2014, a strategic and economic resource still under Russia's control. The summit today marks the first time Trump and Putin have met in person since the start of the war. The leaders met 6 times in Trump's first term, notably for a 2018 summit in Helsinki, Finland, when Trump faced harsh criticism even from his own party for siding with Putin over claims Russia interfered in the 2016 U.S. election.
My people came to me, Dan Coates came to me, and some others. They said they think it's Russia. I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this, I don't see any reason why it would be.
No American leader had ever lined up behind a Russian leader refuting the information that was given to him by his intelligence community.
Trump would later say he accepted the U.S. intelligence community's assessment about Russia's interference in the election, but added, without citing evidence, that it could be other people also. The unique relationship between U.S. and Russian leaders goes back decades.
Some of the most iconic presidential moments that we have in the 20th century are those with our presidents and their Russian or Soviet counterparts.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
You could certainly see it with Ronald Reagan and his relationship with Mikhail Gorbachev.
Just after the summit ended, Trump sitting down with Fox News, in the very room where he just met with Putin.
So I think the meeting was a 10 in the sense that we got along great, and it's good when, two big powers get along, especially when they're nuclear powers. We're number 1, they're number 2 in the world.
With no agreed-upon ceasefire and no additional sanctions against Russia announced, it's unclear what the path forward will be, Trump indicating that he plans to follow up with Putin soon.
We'll speak to you very soon and probably see you again very soon. Thank you very much, Vladimir.
Next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'll get a little heat on that one, but I could see it possibly happening. Thank you very much, Vladimir. And thank you all.
We will, of course, have continuing coverage of the summit and its implications on all ABC platforms. Up next, Heidi Klum, the supermodel of supermodels, returning to Project Runway, spills the tea on those underwear ads with daughter Linsey Klum. Welcome back. Heidi Klum is back on the runway, Project Runway that is. But for the legendary supermodel, strutting the catwalk just comes naturally. She tried to teach my Nightline co-anchor Juju Chang how.
And then we strut, strut, strut.
There's nothing more daunting
Not like that.
Okay.
than learning to walk a runway with a legend.
Take it. We turn. We're still looking at everyone. We're like, yes, there you've had it.
For Heidi Klum, life, like the catwalk, is all about beauty, joy, and harnessing the creative process that ties it all together. And it's exactly that philosophy she's bringing to the new season of her hit show, Project Runway. Making her grand return.
Hi, everybody.
after stepping away for 4 seasons.
I read that you literally bumped into Tristan. He says that Project Runway is your baby. Do you feel that way?
I feel like Tristan is my baby. If Tim Gunn and I had a baby, it's Tristan. But yeah, in terms of television, yeah, it is my TV baby. I remember running around trying to sell this show to different networks, and 21 seasons later, here we still are. It's quite incredible.
For the first 16 seasons, Heidi was at the helm of the pinnacle of all design shows, which peeled back the layers of the cutthroat fashion industry.
I see you all on the runway. Let's start the show.
Using her famous tagline,
As you know, in fashion, one day you're in, the next day you're out.
It has such longevity. What do you think explains that?
I think people just love watching other people make something creative out of nothing. 21 years ago, when we started with Project Runway, some parts I loved even more because it was people who were actually not designers already. They had all different jobs. Like one was a lawyer, the next one was working in a supermarket, whatever it was, but then they had this other talent, of making beautiful clothes.
The new season promising all the spice and star power that fans have always loved.
Great guest judges. I called so many of my friends. I called Michael Kors. I said, come on, I'm back. Please do one episode. All right, then. No, that was English. That was terrible. I shouldn't do accents. But then
Heidi's feedback on Project Runway, at times, brutally honest.
I don't know what went wrong here, but it looks like my 8-year-old daughter made it.
Which we've also seen for years on America's Got Talent.
I had a really hard time staying awake through this. I did.
It's a trait, she says, that comes naturally.
What do you think makes a good judge?
I think I was born to be a judge. I think it must be my mom. If my mom comes into a room and she won't like your hair, she will tell you. She will tell anyone, even if no one is asking. I've always been judging in a weird kind of a way.
That's hilarious.
Telling people things that they probably didn't want to hear.
The aspiring fashion design student began modeling at 19 after beating out 25,000 other contestants in a German modeling contest.
When I started and I tried, in Paris to do the big fashion shows, they always called me too fat because the samples, that they make are so small. Like they would stop at my hip. I could not get them up, or going this way, my boobs were in the way. So I was always too curvy for the clothes.
How did you deal with the body shaming?
I shrugged it off. I was like, there will be another job for me.
And there was. She burst onto the scene in the late 90s with a coveted Sports Illustrated swimsuit cover, then landing major spreads in Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, and Elle magazine. And who could forget those massive wings and bedazzled bras she wore as a Victoria's Secret angel?
I only have fun memories from that time. We were like friends, Giselle Bündchen, Adriana Lima, Tyra Banks. We always had the best time. Like we traveled the world together, shooting lingerie or swimsuits on the beach. We had the best time.
From the runway to the red carpet, Heidi continued leaning into her creative energy every year for her famed Halloween bash, while just having fun, relishing her roles in shows like How I Met Your Mother.
He has the yips? That's bad. In Germany we call this, ach du meine Güte, gar nichts klappt mehr so schnell. I said, whoa, that is bad.
I got also very, very lucky that I was put in movies or TV shows that have become so big. Like Sarah Jessica Parker, I walked over her in Sex and the City, which became like such a big thing. Do I look okay?
You look fabulous.
Thanks. Okay, let's go.
But she says it's the role of mom that's been her greatest joy.
You've juggled career and motherhood. What's it like parenting adult children?
It's harder when they're older because you, in a way, worry more. When they're young, you worry that they put the fork in the socket, or they fall down the stairs, or they fall in the pool. And then they're older, then they move away.
2 of them have gone into modeling, following in your footsteps.
Yeah, Henry, he's just turned 19. He did Couture Fashion Week in Paris.
Do you give career advice when it comes to modeling?
I do, because again, I am a judge and I can't help myself. So, he said, okay, I have my first show. How should I walk? I'm like, first of all, you have to pick your feet up fully off the floor. And he's like, oh, yeah, right. Shoulders back. Find your center. So I told him those types of things.
Modeling has become a full-on family affair. Heidi and her now 21-year-old daughter, Lenny, starring in campaigns for the Italian lingerie brand Intimissimi.
And you got a little bit of backlash for that, doing that with your daughter.
Yeah, I feel like, there's people with anything that you do that people love or people don't love. It made me actually feel good, that she feels good in her own skin to stand next to her old mother, in her underwear. And they weren't like raunchy, sexy photos together.
No,
it's not like if I would be with Giselle or Tyra, we would be totally posing differently. I was actually proud that she feels good in showing herself with me like that. We didn't think there was anything wrong with it.
But the self-proclaimed proud nudist loves to cover up elaborately for the spooky season, riding her creativity to a whole nother level.
You are the queen of Halloween.
I love Halloween.
Do you feel like you have to top yourself every time now?
I do.
Pressure.
From Jessica Rabbit to Fiona from Shrek to a worm rolling around on the ground, every year Heidi completely transforms into something unrecognizable.
Do you have a favorite? I know you've once said that the aged you,
yes,
the elderly you.
I love that too, yeah.
Why was that your favorite?
I turned 40 at the time, and people were like, well, you're really old now, maybe you should not model anymore. And I was like, I'm gonna show you old. And that was very hard to do also, because every body part, everything that was exposed, we had to age. There's a lot of different colored dots and sagging skin and, making my eyes kind of like cloudy.
And so when you looked in the mirror, what did you think? What went through your mind?
I was like, wow, I hope there's a lot of fun things happening between now and then. So I'm not gonna look like that.
Finding much of that fun with her third husband, Tom Cowlitz.
We just had 6-year anniversary. My husband got me this ball and chain.
Metaphor much?
Isn't that cute?
Are you the ball and chain, or is he the ball and chain?
Or is he the ball and chain and I'm not supposed to forget and he's on me? I don't know either.
You said that joy is the key to aging gracefully. What does that mean?
I think when you are not feeling good, or you kind of angry all the time or mean or something, I feel like it shows in your face. I think that if you are a positive person, from the inside out, I think that shows in your face.
And where do you find joy?
In the small things, in the big things, and everything in between.
And everything in between. Our thanks to Juju. You can catch new episodes of Project Runway Thursday nights on Freeform and streaming on Hulu on Disney+. When we come back, a sad note, remembering career General Hospital actor Tristan Rogers. And finally tonight, actor Tristan Rogers has died after a battle with lung cancer. A longtime star of General Hospital, Rogers played Robert Scorpio for 45 years, appearing in more than 1,400 episodes of the beloved series.
Because I'm partly responsible for her being here. Because she's a stranger in a strange land, and I, of all people, ought to know what that feels like.
His manager says his time on General Hospital meant everything to him. He is survived by his wife, Teresa Parkerson, 2 children, and 1 grandchild. Tristan Rogers was 79. And that's Nightline for this evening. Catch our full episodes on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+. We'll see you right back here same time Monday. Thanks for the company, America. Have a good and safe weekend.